So we're going to go over mean, also known as average, standard deviation, coefficient of variation, and variance. We're also going to go over standard deviation of the mean. But first, let's go over a couple symbols. The capital Greek letter sigma stands for summation. Lowercase xi stands for individual measurement. So therefore, sigma I xi is a summation of the individual measurements. N is the number of measurements, and n minus 1 is the degrees of freedom. The x with a line over top stands for mean or average. The S stands for standard deviation. Standard deviation measures how closely the data are clustered about the mean, and the square of the standard deviation is called the variance. The standard deviation expressed as a percent of the mean is called coefficient of variation. And we'll go over standard uncertainty of the mean in a second. So we're given the numbers 1.1, 2.2, 2.3, and 5.8. So the summation of the individual measurements would be 1.1 plus 2.3 plus 5.8 equals 9.2. So the mean is the summation of the measurements over the number of measurements. So that equals 9.2 divided by 3, because we have 3 measurements, equals 46 over 15. The standard deviation is the square root of the summation of measurements over degrees of freedom. So that would be the square root of 9.2 divided by 3 minus 1, which gives us 2.144761059. The variance is the square root, or the square of the standard deviation. So the square root and the square cancel out to give us 4.6. The coefficient of variation is the standard deviation divided by the mean times 100, which gives us 2.15, the standard deviation, over 46 over 15, the mean, times 100 is 69.93786062%. So the standard deviation of the mean describes how repeated estimates of the mean are scattered around their grand mean, so pretty much a mean of the means. You calculate it by dividing the standard deviation by the square root of the number of measurements. So that would be 2.15 divided by the square root of 3 to give us 1.238278375. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed.